the signs. I follow the signs of your heartbeat. Body and mind. I follow the signs.
Hello everybody, welcome today. We are having a conversation today about motorhoming and live on board and working all in one. Today we have here Patricia Glyn. Hello Patricia.
How's it? Hello.
You want to just introduce yourself a little bit? How did we meet? How did you get your motorhome? What is your background in the motorhome?
Well, it's a long-held dream. I remember time at school when 4 of us used to lie on our tummies in the dark, eating tennis biscuits and whispering about the modifications we would do to a red London bus. And then we would take off. And we even had room for boyfriends. We had no idea at that stage what you do with boyfriends, but we wanted space for boyfriends. And 2 girls got pregnant. 1 girl took a very big career. And I went into exploring many, many things, including opera, and eventually found my home in broadcasting. So I'm the only one who kept the dream alive and eventually found you guys, and you made my motorhome. And as you know, I explored many options for the motorhome. And the reason I chose you is that you weren't patronizing and sexist. You weren't patting me on the head and saying, there, little lady, you have no idea what you're talking about. We cannot do what you want us to do. So do this. You said, let's try. And that was an attitude that I was looking for. And that's why I chose Motorhome-World. And I must warn people now, what I'm going to say sounds like puff. And it's not. I'm absolutely sincere about what happened during the build of this vehicle, which was happy, and it was, timeless. Nothing was ever delayed on your part, maybe mine. And it was meticulously done. And I am a completely particular woman. So that's why I'm here, and I'm thrilled. And the rub came after I built the vehicle, because, as you know, it was built 6 years ago. And I did a bit of traveling, which I didn't find satisfying at all. We can go into that. She was my home during COVID. And then I had a series of really tough things which I had to get through. And there was a time when I thought, I've got to sell this vehicle and just accept that I can't fulfill the dream. But I hung in, and I designed a project, which we can get to, which makes my travel in Alexandra hugely satisfying. So I'm now in heaven. I'm a pig in whatever, and I own a pig, so I know what pigs are in when they're happy.
I think that's a different podcast when you tell us about the pig you own.
And I miss Henry when I'm away, and he misses me.
Okay, well, that's great. It sounds all very nice, and I think we're going to have a great conversation regarding that. So, on topic, you always wanted, when you came to us at least, always wanted to have the motorhome designed for permanent, semi-permanent living and working all in once. That was part of the big concept when you approached us to say, can you do this?
And critically, if I may interrupt you, I wanted a motorhome that could go round the mountain rather over the top. I am a lady traveller. I wanted to be able to go off-road and find beautiful places to camp. But I wasn't trying to test myself and my 4x4 ability in driving.
Okay, yeah, well, that's why we do the over the mountain, around the mountain. A lot of people actually grasp the concept of that idea.
It's a brilliant description.
Yeah, it works for our other customers as well. You came to us basically fully designed, with a fully designed motorhome. Tell us that story. How did that, where did you come up with that original design? And then I will say what happens when we first met you.
Yeah. Well, well, if you're going to fulfill a dream, you must make it practical. But I didn't fulfill the dream. But from an engineering point of view, I know it was a tough thing for you. First, I made a little to scale model in my kitchen with little cupboards and little staircase, and I moved things around and round and around until I got it configured the way I wanted it to be. And then I thought, can I live in a space like this? I'm very tall. Can I live in a space that is so small? It's the size of my walk-in cupboard at home before I sold my house. So I thought, can I live in it? So I built a to-scale model on my veranda out of branding and cardboard, and I painted things and I made it look like a motorhome. There are photos of this on my website. I must tell you, website to be launched in a couple of months. So I slept in there, and I
didn't know that.
And I realized
you actually slept on the stoop. On your veranda.
I just took a little sleeping bag and a mattress out there. It was only 1 or 2 nights, and I got an idea, and I thought, yeah, I can live in this, but only because I could double the size of the floor space. And I don't know whether you want me to go into that now, or whether you want to go into it, what I had. And it was a tremendously challenging design for you to execute.
It's the veranda. So basically the technical issues we had to solve was the fold-down veranda. Well, it happened to be designed as a fold-down veranda, and your lift-up and lift-down bed. So that were basically the 2 biggest engineering struggling blocks, which we got around. Yes, so, and that's how you came around here. And I remember Jo Marie at the time came into my office and says, no, you need it downstairs. And I was like, why? He said, no. There's a lady downstairs who brought a full scale model of a motorhome. I'm like, we're not used to that. Normally people bring a drawing or something, but not a scale model. So that one that you brought, that you built on your in your kitchen, that you brought with here. And then I said, well, I need to see this. So I went down. And then you showed us the photos of the full scale. Literally, people, 1-to-1 scale on the veranda, built with battens and plywood and carton and boxes, to such a degree that the steps that we designed into the roof were in there. You put the drawers in, you put the doors in, you put where you wanted to work in. We'll get into that just now. You worked out your entire day-to-day living area on your veranda, and I was just gobsmacked. I was just like, wow, this is fantastic. And of course, it's a challenge. Then when you proposed the challenge, and it's like, yes, of course we'll do that.
Yes. That's what I wanted to speak to hear. Yes. Yeah. Just yes, let's give it a go.
Yeah. So we did. And that's something maybe is something to go into. When you thought about, because you knew you were going to go work and live in the motorhome together. What went through your head to divide up your working area, your sleeping area, your leisure area? How did you come to what we are today with, the bed and the veranda? What were the essential items that you have to be live and work in the motorhome?
Well, first thing is, with great respect to a lot of people, they want their bed down, and that means that they're living in a corridor in a motorhome, and the cupboards are at eye level for someone who is tall, like me. So I wanted everything down below, which meant I wanted proper cupboards in my kitchen and a full height, floor to ceiling cupboard for my clothes, including a little area which was for a ball gown. It was a joke. I didn't need a ball gown, but what if I had a long trench coat and stuff? So everything could hang. So that was I wanted, but the only way to get that space was to not have the bed there. And that's why I wanted a bed that was motorized and went up and sat on the ceiling, which it does. And it's fabulous. So then you've got this enormous space, which is a little bit bigger, the size of a double bed, a little bit more on either end. So I love that space because I'm feeling breezy, spacious, released into nature. And then on the one side above my kitchen area, and the kitchen is to scale, I've got a massive window that opens out.
That's the window and window design, as we call it,
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got 2 massive doors that open out onto the veranda. The veranda is the size of the one side of the truck, and it comes down. 2 big doors that open on the veranda with a tarpaulin that comes out on the top, or
awning.
Awning, okay? So you've doubled your living space. So I can have dinner for 6 on a table with a tablecloth and china, silver. Yes, I'm completely mad. I know this. So that is how I designed the vehicle. And regarding my work, I wanted a little corner of the motorhome, which was only for work. You don't want porridge on your papers. So you don't want to work on the same table that you have your meals on. So there's little flap-up tables. I can work in the little corner of my motorhome, which has a door and shelves with all my stuff and a net that holds the stuff and prevents it from falling out. And on the other little flap-up table, I've got the view outside, out of one of the big doors, and I've got the means of putting my big screen for editing on that little table. And it just works to partition work and play.
Is a dedicated work area?
It is. Yeah, I don't put, coffee there. Yeah, I do put coffee there. But I don't put my early morning porridge there because you can bet you'll get porridge on your work, or worse, on your laptop.
All right, so you created a corner where it's dedicated work area, but it didn't stop you from working on the veranda, or you could work somewhere else as well. But at least all your work stuff was together in one spot. Was that a must-have, or was that just how it happened to be?
No, it was a must-have.
Must-have.
And the reason why I can work on the veranda is because I have a freestanding table, a camping table.
Yes.
I don't only use tables that are built into the motorhome. Again, because I've got the space. The table folds up and sits behind the door into the cab, and then I can open it out, and I've got a lovely big table for the veranda, which I can put anywhere.
Yeah, and you can work from there as well.
Yeah.
All right, then I suppose the advantage of the dedicated area is your plug points are right there where you need them. Your printer, I don't know if you have a printer. Printer is right there, and
scanner.
And it's all hidden behind the door.
Exactly. And because the flap up, small little table is close to the plugs, then I don't have an issue charging when I'm working on the flap up table.
If you would take that concept now and you don't, I'm just trying to think from other people out there that are contemplating whether they can work in a motorhome. I know what you do is probably unique, so maybe go say what actually you do, because then it will relate to people what type of work you've designed your motorhome for. So it's writing, it is editing, it's
Podcast, That's what it was designed for. However, let me just say that initially it was designed to write about my travels. But, as you know, Dennis, which is why I'm here after 6 years, I traveled a bit and I found it very disappointing. To be honest, I thought, okay, so I've seen the Agrablis Falls, so what? Okay, I'll go and see the Namakwa flowers. And I thought, so what? And I realized after much thought that it was because I wasn't getting under the skin of those places. I'm a journalist, I'm a broadcaster, I was used to that. Didn't get under the skin, and I wasn't getting to the people who live there. The people who could tell me their life stories, interesting, really interesting things about the area, disasters or love stories or ghost stories, synchronicity stories, the things that really turn me on. So I then designed a project which would lead me to the people who have those stories. And the project is called Storycatcher, and I invite people to send me their stories, and then I travel to capture the stories. Obviously, I can't zigzag all over the continent. So I have to group the stories so that I go to Western Zambia and collect all the stories there. And then maybe it's Haenertsburg or I don't know where. So that's the idea behind Storycatcher. And we haven't launched yet, but have started collecting the stories. And the van, the truck, Alexandra, is perfectly designed for that.
I'll put a link. Have you got links already that I can put in the description of the podcast?
No, but you will get them.
Okay. I will put them into the description,
Thank you.
and then you have some links there.
Thank you.
How much of the work side is on the laptop and how much is on writing? So I'm just trying to, for people out there, I think most people that have a 70-80% computer work that are thinking of traveling and living on board. So how much of your work is laptop-based or computer-based compared to other work, telephone calls, maybe writing? I don't know how much percentage it is that you do on the laptop compared to other work things.
Yeah, it's not very much. I would say it's 20% most, because I'm out there recording interviews. I'm coming back and I'm putting them onto the laptop. I'm backing them up. Paranoid about that, although they do go onto the cloud. So I'm recording, and then I take extensive notes because I'm doing blogs as well, which are written blogs. And I do write notes. Sometimes it comes out as a perfectly structured blog. No, it doesn't. Nothing is ever perfect when you write. So that's the written part of it. Then there's the dumping of the podcasts. Then there's the editing of the podcasts, audio podcasts. Although I do vlogs on the road, and I stink at editing. I am still terrified of it. Don't know why. It's just a mental block. So if I'm doing any editing, it's absolutely basic. And then I come home and I have an editor who does that for me. So what happens is the stories come in and I will do a month's travels in a loop, come home, edit them. So I've got to work a month ahead.
So you don't edit and you don't do that editing in the motorhome?
I do some of it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I've got a big screen in the motorhome, which is attached to that little desk. I've got a
It's
hole.
in the work area?
It's not on an arm. The reason why is I liked working on the little desk because I look out the window and it's inspiring. And that's why I'm there, isn't it? To
Yeah,
access
absolutely, yeah.
beauty. So
That's the veranda, the whole view from the veranda with the big doors.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So it's not very much, but I think it's the perfect balance.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to ascertain the dedicated work area. So I don't want people to believe that you need a dedicated work area. So if you do 20% of laptop work in, for example, a normal motorhome, not an extreme, doesn't need to be a 4x4, just cover a Ford like we do. You can sit outside, you can sit on the inside chairs and do your laptop work.
Yeah.
Or your phone calls or things like that. So you just have the need for that big open space, and that's where the extreme or the customized motorhome came in. I'll also put a link to the video. There's a little video about that, so I'll put a link into that as well, that people can actually see the motorhome when they they stop listening and they want to start watching, then they can click on that.
They need to see the introduction to Storycatcher and me, and then there's the story of my truck.
Yes, I will link to that. That's going to be great.
Yeah, and how it was constructed and what it comprises, all of that. So there'll be no doubts about how it works. And I only have 3 provisos where I park. I must be safe, it must be beautiful, and it must be private. So I don't need to go into the back of Beyond on my own as a woman. Please be in no doubt that travels are different if you're a woman on your own, although I do have 2 dogs with me. And who knows how often they've protected me. People have come for me maybe in the night and thought, oh, no, there are 2 dogs there, and moved away. Who knows? Yeah. So I need to be safe. And if I'm going from story to story, and the holder of those stories, the teller of those stories, then they know these places. That is a safe place. It's beautiful, and you can be on your own, but you can come to us in half an hour.
Okay, so you listen to their recommendations, where to go, which makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
Locals know.
Which means you need some kind of self-sustainability in the motorhome. And you have batteries, you got solar panels, you don't have a generator.
I do, but I very seldom take it.
So how would you do your power balance? How would you make sure that you have batteries available for your work, for example, for your laptop? Is there a sort of routine you have, or how would you balance to make sure at the end of the day you have enough power left?
Well, I don't have much running off the batteries, except the fridge and the freezer. You know, and if it's getting a bit low, you can just turn your freezer off. I don't ever. I mean, I think I've used the air conditioner for a day in the Kalahari when I was working with the sand bushmen. I just couldn't cope with 43 degrees anymore. So I put it on. But guilt made me switch it off. If everybody else can cope with it, why can't I? So I don't really use any of that sort of stuff.
That's a big drainer of the batteries, the aircon.
Huge.
Yeah.
And the fan, maybe if I'm cooking something really stinky.
The roof fan. The roof fan.
Roof fan, yeah. And then so it's just the fridge and the freezer.
And you're cooking on gas, so there's no electrical there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you don't have a massive battery capacity or needed for a lot of battery balance. So you don't have a special routine. You check the batteries every now and then.
Yeah.
And then you know you're good. You have solar on the roof,
big solar panels, as you know.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what they exude. Because I
don't have the spec sheet in front of me now, but yeah. You probably have about, I think, between 600 and 800 watts, I think you have on your roof, which is quite a bit. Yeah.
And then there's another panel on the back, which is detachable, which I can take off and put in the sun. Just in terms of draw on the system, I'm about to start a little cooking series as well, involving a Renoska, which is an oven. A tabletop oven, which draws very, very little, which is why it's beginning to take off for campers.
It's like a slow cooker type of thing?
No, it's not. It does about 180 to 220. So you can roast chickens in it. Not that I'll be doing this. This will be a vegetarian series called Cooking for Campers. It will use ingredients that we have in our campers because we have to have things that last. So it's tin vehicles, tinned, tinned food, dry food, cabbage, which I hate, tomatoes, onions that you can get from a side
That's available
cellar.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. But, there are very few places you go to now which don't have a spa. Even in Lusaka and those sort of places. So you can refresh. But if you're going to an area which is famous for its aubergines, then you do a recipe with aubergines.
Yes, of course.
And you'll be pleased to know that it's not me who's cooking.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it.
I know how to do certain things I do, like my dog biscuits. But so what I do is I find somebody in the area who's a really good cook and who can come and who's entertaining and can tell us about the area while she or he cooks a meal.
So
and
that's
then
a
you
guess.
serve it to other people.
That's the
from
china
area.
and the silver.
And the silver, the whole toot.
No, that sounds great.
I don't ask people to dress up, although that might happen. So I can use a ball gown.
That's in the tall closet.
Yes. Oh, dear.
All right, that's interesting. All right, so, yeah, I like, and I think that's not often done, your movable solar panel, which is this hooked on the back.
Really?
It's not often done, but you get so much efficiency out of it because you can angle it and you just every hour go and move it. And you get top efficiency for 5-6 hours out of one panel. And it makes a huge difference if you really use that one. And every hour you go and you move it.
And particularly if you're camped in a forest, in a shady area, which a lot of us want to be.
Yes, and then you can find that one dot of sun.
Yeah. And then I've got a very, very long cable to the panel, which I very seldom use. I take the shorter one. But the shorter one is really long enough to get it out of the shady area and into the sun.
Good. Internet, one that always you need for work in today's age.
Yeah. I have an aerial. So Bolton's gave me one of their aerials, which I put up, and they're actually two thingies.
It's okay. It's 4G, so it's internet from a cell phone. Am I correct?
It is.
So it's probably 4G. I don't think 5G was out
No,
when
no,
you
it's
got
definitely
that.
not 5G. Even I know that.
So you get your internet through cell phone signal,
Yeah.
which limits you obviously when you get to an area like you want to go where there's no cell phone signal.
And I am, as we discussed earlier, I'm very interested in testing Elon Musk's satellites.
Starlink.
Yeah, outside of South Africa. I think that's going to be the answer for people like that. I have had sat phones before, but my goodness, they cost a fortune.
No. Starlink is going to be is already, forget about going to be, a game changer in almost everybody, whether it's overlanding, whether it's industry, whether it's marine. Starlink is an absolute game changer, and it's something that, unfortunately in South Africa, it's not yet approved. It's an absolute game changer, especially for people that want to work. For this topic that we're talking about today, it's almost, there's nothing even comes close to it.
Exactly. I live, I must say, in a rural area, and the Bolton's aerial, is a great asset.
Yeah.
I would say the nearest cell tower is about 50 k's away, 40.
And you've tested that.
50. Well, I live with it. It works all the time. That is how I communicate with the world.
That's a big distance.
Yeah.
And it still works. So
works
so that's definitely something that is possible, because it's 5G now, of course. So I'm sure the same equipment is available for 5G, which is obviously a lot more bandwidth available on that system.
I must talk to them. But, they were so generous to give that to me all those years ago, and I hadn't started my travels that I'm a bit reluctant to knock on the door again and say, please, can I have another one?
Well, if they listen to this, maybe they'll knock on your door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, but how important is internet for you? Could you be in an area and not have internet and still carry on?
Yeah, for work, I'd be fine. But for safety, I really need a cell phone. I really need connectivity. So it's just from that point of view.
So if Elon gets his way, then we can also use the cell phone via his Starlink system. That's
Yeah.
going to be...
It'll be absolutely amazing.
It's a few years off, of course,
Yeah.
because it will start again in America, probably where they get approvals. But that is, again, just not even special hardware necessary, just your cell phone, straight to
That's
satellite.
extraordinary.
I know.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to phone someone and say, listen, I don't feel like changing this tire. Please, can you come and help me?
And then they ask you how far away you are, and you go like 480 kilometers.
Exactly. I mean, I do know how to do that, but it is a big mission for me. So, and I'll just say, I'm going to put down the veranda and I'm going to pour something cool and tinkly, and I'm going to wait for you. Please come.
Go. What is, okay, I have a question here. The longest you've stayed in your motorhome in one go?
A year and a half. It was my home in COVID, in a rural area, and not too far out of Johannesburg, but she was my home, and I just loved being in an extra small space. And at the end of COVID, I decided to sell my Johannesburg home. And as I said, I moved my clothes cupboard was the size of what I moved into. And I live in a tented camp. I built a tented camp in the Motorhome-World in the mountains, which I absolutely adore. So it's a base for when I come back from my travels. But living in the home was a big test. What worked, what didn't work. But, because I had spent so long designing this interior, it was perfect for me. Not for everybody, but it was perfect for me.
On that, how important is it to get the design right? I'm just trying to get, a lot of people come to us with an idea that they have and they've thought about it, but they are anxious if they made the right decision. How important is it to get that right? Or is it something like, if you get it 60% right, you can live with it. The rest will fall in and you will adapt. For you lived a year and a half at one go. If you think about what you did in the beginning, and you said you spent so much time on it, compared to now, I'm sure there are things that are not perfect. I'm sure there's things that you would like to change now. So how important is signing on the dotted line once we've done the design? And you get anxious, is that the right word, about is this correct? Do you understand?
I do. I spent so much time on it because I have that temperament whereby if you're going to do something, it's worth doing well. Don't do things half well, If you're spending that much money, if you amortize the amount of time you've spent in the vehicle, if it's not much, then you may as well have moved into the Michelangelo in Joburg. And that's why I'm going to hit the road big time now, so that it realizes its value. So I had to have something which was as close to perfect as I wanted it to be. And I have to tell you in all sincerity, it is.
It worked out.
It really is. It's worked out perfectly. And if you've lived in something for a year and a half, let me tell you, you really understand claustrophobia or not. I am not ever claustrophobic, but I am in motorhomes which are too cramped inside. don't like it. Some people want things that are solid, they are screwed into the floor, and they do not move. Mine is, you take out a table and you bring up that table and you open that door. It's a very different concept. And I would suggest, because you do have certain designs.
Yes, we do.
You've got quite a few.
Yeah.
I really would suggest, if possible, rent. Hire a Bobo. Hire something that you can go out in so you can get an idea. I don't like this. This there and the way this bathroom is configured. Do that before you sign on the dotted line.
So you're saying find out what you don't want. It's very good.
Which you will know. My goodness, will you know quickly.
Because you can eliminate a lot of questions you have if you know what you don't want. Because to know what you do want is sometimes very difficult. It is not easy for a lot of people to find out because they don't understand what's all out there, what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
So if you know what you don't want, you're eliminating a lot of that anxiety, which makes sense.
Right. And, I am fortunate that I'm not married, so there are not two opinions in my life as to what is required.
Yes, that is.
And I bet you've seen a lot of tests of marriages in this place.
I think I can do 100 podcasts on that.
Do it. Do one. Just do one. Please.
On how to stay married while choosing a motorhome.
Exactly. Please do that.
That's a good topic, yes.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate. There was no one else to consider. And of course, from a space point of view, I had so much more space because there's only one of me.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
2 dogs, mind you. They take up a lot of space.
I think we covered a lot of my questions. I think that the listeners out there want to know, and I think they can walk away with a lot of information after listening to this.
Yeah,
So-
not technical information, as you will have gathered.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
No, I just feel I know other things.
Yeah.
I know how many flats there are in BFAT minor, and there are not a lot of people who do. So they know about
For one,
watts
I have
and-
no idea.
Exactly. Watts and amps and all of that, you know that.
Yeah.
And you're a mechanical genius, and that's why you made this work. So I've got other attributes. That's how I comfort myself at night. And I've got Jose.
Yeah,
Jose.
our electrician.
Yeah, who I can phone at any time and say, Jose, there's a blue light here that wasn't there a few hours ago. What does it mean? And Jose patiently talks me through it.
I know, it's an advantage.
So it's wonderful to have Jose.
Great. Patricia, thank you.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation.
I loved it.
We'll keep tabs. I loved and I can't wait for your Storycatcher.
Yeah. I'll
We're
let
going
you
to
know.
listen to nice stories. Yes, please let us know.
They're very human stories. Just the dramatic moments that happen in ordinary lives. And we've all got them.
Yes.
So, thank you very much. And thank you for my Alexandra. And thank you for giving her a facelift.
Oh, it's our
No.
pleasure. Yes.
I had a choice between her having a facelift or me. And I chose her.
Which one was cheaper?
Probably was. Yeah.
All right, Patricia, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was wonderful to meet you.
Thanks.